By small, I mean about 45,000 people. I happened to grow up very near the community theater in that town, which was actually a converted Apple storage warehouse, of which there are many in Yakima because it's primarily food warehouse in that area. So anyway, from my earliest memories, my mom hanging out around the theater, because it was a fantastic old barn building full of all sorts of nooks and crannies to play around in. And sometimes during the summer productions, we would be hired to work either in the spotlights, perhaps, maybe in the concession stand, which was our favorite because you get free pop. And that was kind of my first exposure to the theater. It was very much about sort of running around in the background. To segue to David Lynch. David Lynch didn't grow up in Yakima, but he's also from the Northwest. And I think we had, in some ways, similar upbringings in that he also ran around with his buddies, small town, got into a little bit of trouble here and there, but nothing that was very, how much trouble can you get into in a community that size? So we both come from a similar background, small town, Northwest. David obviously gone on to become an extraordinary artist, filmmaker, painter, etc. And I've sort of just gone off and did the acting thing. So somehow we were able to meet together years later, in 1983 to be exact, for the first film we did together, which was Dune. And our relationship has continued and maintained from that time. So 30, help me with my math, 34 years, I think? Yeah. Math was not my school was a good. So there's a connection.
Sorry, just follow up. You said without David Lynch, you may not be acting today. Do you truly believe that?
Well, more specifically, without David Lynch, I don't think I'd have a film and television career. In that my training was at the University of Washington for theater, and I was on my way to New York City to be hired, hopefully, for repertory theater throughout the United States. And David met me through the magic of videotape back in the days, and I then flew to meet him in Los Angeles, and so my career took a right turn, and I ended up in Los Angeles and working in film and then television because of David. But I was, I had my sights set on New York. Had finished my acting training, moved to the Shakespeare Festival, worked in Seattle, and off I was going to New York to start my career. And David redirected me into a different arena. So I guess that's a more specific answer to the question.
Thank you.
Hi, Kyle, how are you? Good. I wish I could speak backwards, but I can't, unfortunately.
No,
I
no.
see a movie. The new series is absolutely brilliant, but I have two questions for you. First is, have you any idea what the hell is going on?
I have a little bit of an idea. But I am following along as you are. So I finished episode 6 and episode 7 aired last night in the States. And I'm enjoying the process of it unfolding episode by episode. I have the advantage of having read the entire script, so I know where it's going, but I too am confused and enthralled both by the visions and the images and the storytelling of David Lynch, and also viscerally affected by David's imagery. So I guess yes, I know a little, but not that much.
I'm going to tell me the end, but
And I don't know the end.
and obviously you play all these different characters, which they're all so opposite to each other. But which one have you most enjoyed? Which is the most fun for you?
They are all fun, to be honest, for different reasons. The whole transformation into the Mr. C character, or the evil doppelganger, however you want to describe him, was such a departure for me, as you said, that which I embraced, and was also I had some trepidation about, because I knew what David wanted, and I hoped that I would be able to get there. I also knew that the best chance that I had of getting there was with David as my guide, so to speak, director, because I was going to rely upon him really needed his input on that. And we found that character through a series of sort of, and the look of that character, we experimented, as you do. He was fun because I'd never done anything like that before, and the idea of playing an absolutely remorseless character was kind of exciting. On the flip side of that is Dougie, and Dougie was fun for other reasons, obviously, and challenging, primarily because of the amount of time that was necessary for the character to discover the world around him. And one of the great gifts David gave me was the freedom to take that time. I think as an actor, you tend to want to move things forward and tell the story quickly, particularly if you've had a lot of television experience. You want to move things forward, and David was all about the opposite of that. So he let the character find and unfold in his own particular rhythm, and it was very freeing. Thank you.
The lady at the end.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, lady at the end.
We met in mid-TV.
Yes, great to see you again.
So my question would be, do you think it was the right time to bring back Twin Peaks to life? And if it wasn't with David Lynch, would he do it?
No, with David Lynch was the only way that this story could go forward. And the time seemed to be right. I think I've spoken about how I feel like the fans actually contributed to the fact that Twin Peaks is back on again, simply because with social media and people able to voice their experiences and their hopes and their expectations, they remember that Laura Palmer said 25 years later. The rest of us may have forgotten, but they remember. And so they began the slow drumbeat of like, come on, let's see some more Twin Peaks. And I think it might have compelled David and Mark to take a look again and see if maybe there were more stories to tell. And they did indeed find more stories. So in some ways, I thank the fans for their efforts to keep this world alive.
Thank you. Gentleman here. In the second row.
Hello again.
Yes, good to see you again.
You just said that David was your guide. Could you please give us an example of how you work with him and how does he guide you? How is it completely on set when he tries to have you play those characters that are not that simple to describe?
Yeah. It can run from simply telling me, you're doing this thing with your mouth. Don't do that. Just a purely sort of physical comment. To David directs very gently, and so he'll talk a little bit about perhaps taking more time with a certain segment. He'll say, look here, and maybe you're feeling a wind blowing, and may or may not be any wind at all, but he gives you these the sensations of where you are as an actor, and I, for whatever reason, I find it incredibly helpful. He's very specific about the mood and the place, and somehow I'm able to find it.
Good. Gentleman from Finland, I think.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you? Fine, thanks. Could you talk about three things? The moments you first met David Lynch, and what was the moment about, and then the moment when you realized you really want to be an actor, and then about the moment you realized that David has his very unique vision.
David and I met for the first time at Universal Studios in one of the bungalows very far in the back for Dune, and he had seen a videotape of me auditioning for the role of Paul in Dune, and he and the producer Rafaela De Laurentiis thought, oh, he might be good for the role. So they brought me in from Seattle and flew me in. Seattle was where I met the casting agent. And David arrived, and he was I didn't know what to expect. I'd never met a movie director before, and he was like a regular guy, you know. He very personable. We talked about everything pretty much except for the role and except for the film. And I was all primed to talk about the film, and I wanted to talk about Dune and Paul, which was a book, Dune, the book I knew very well, and I knew the character very well, for some reason. But we spoke together, and we talked about being from the Northwest. We found common ground quickly. We spoke about our love of red wine. We spoke about what it was like to grow up in a small town in the Northwest. I asked him about his experiences as a director. I'd seen Eraserhead. I'd seen Elephant Man. And towards the end of the interview, he handed me the script and said, I'd like you to learn a couple scenes from the script and come back in 4, 5, 6 days and we'll do a screen test. And I was like, okay. And that was our first meeting. My acting career started as something fun to do, a social thing in high school, and I enjoyed it. I think somewhere in the back of my mind, knew that I was pretty good at it, but I didn't think more than that, really. And I went to college and tried to find a career. And I kept coming back to the theater. And I had one experience that really sort of transformed me when I went to do a thing in America called summer stock, where you go for the summer and you participate in doing small productions in far off, very small communities, and you have this experience, kind of intense theater experience. And I did a play called Look Homeward Angel, and I played the young Eugene, and I had a wonderful director and a cast, equity cast, professional actors. And I said, for the first time, it was fun, but it was also, I felt like another level. And I said, oh, I think this is maybe something that I should do. And so it went that way, slowly. And the last question was,
when did you realize that David really has a unique vision?
Oh, I think when you see his first film, I saw Eraserhead for the first time, and it was very compelling and complicated, and not what I expected at all. And then I saw Elephant Man, and I was like, whoa, the emotional impact of that film was overwhelming. And I think, and unlike anything I'd seen before, and he had such an affection for the character of John Merrick, you could feel it, an identity with that outcast, you know. And I was like, oh, this is fascinating. So that started it, and I'm continually amazed by his work, everything he's done. And so I'm so honored and kind of overwhelmed to work so closely with him.
Thank you. The lady in front of you. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Christy.
How are you?
Twin Peaks is, of course, absolutely legendary TV show, but so is Sex and the City as well. So as you were talking about fans, when fans nowadays, when they approach you, do they recognize you more from Twin Peaks, or do they approach you as an ex-husband of Charlotte?
Right. When I wear my kilt, references. You know, it's a mix. It's really fun. When I'm in New York City, because of course that was the setting for Sex and the City. Maybe more Sex and the City, but it's very nice. I get that and some Desperate Housewives as well. Right now, of course, Twin Peaks is at the forefront of everyone's imagination, so I am recognized as that. But it's very nice to be associated with some wonderful and memorable television programs. I'm very fortunate.
But can you recall some funniest moments with fans? Or where people have recognized
Oh,
you?
yeah. I mean, I remember, people in New York are not shy. And the guys who work at the building, the doorman and stuff like that. So I remember going past the guy at the doorman and he'd shout, hey, hope you can get it up, that kind of thing. Something like that. Or sorry about your problem. They're obviously meaning it fun, but that's their first, the overture, and that's New York City.
Thank you. Gentleman here in the second row.
Hello. You were on my bucket list, so nice seeing you.
Oh, thank you.
How did you shoot the episodes? One by one or parallel to each other?
Well, we filmed the series, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Twin Peaks.
We filmed it like a film, a feature. So we had the entire script completed, over 500 pages, and we filmed it as one giant feature film. So locations, we did all the work that we needed to do at certain locations were finished, and then we moved on to the next one. So just like a film.
Did it make your job more difficult? I mean, the emotional state of your character changes from one episode to the next.
No different than any other process, I think. The challenging thing was because I was doing different roles, sometimes on the same day. Not often. They tried not to do it like that, but oftentimes I had to change in the same day. So just re-entering each of the characters was challenging. But the script was very specific. I knew the scene before and the scene after, and then in those situations I rely a lot on David. He knows, he's got the whole film in his mind, so he's able to gain, I don't know how you say that, dial in whatever I need. That's going to be a hard one for the translation. Modulate the performance based upon where he is, where he knows he is in the story.
Thank you. Gentleman at the back.
Hi there. I was just wondering if between the current series of Twin Peaks and the original series, when you watched all the great series that came after the original, did you ever feel that anything equaled it in originality?
That's a good question. No, but not like it was the greatest thing. I just think David Lynch and the vision, the creative process, what he makes is unlike anything else that we're likely to see. Just the specificity of it is, I just describe it as pure Lynch, or Lynchian, What I think did happen was with the acceptance of Twin Peaks, brief acceptance of Twin Peaks, it opened the door, I think, to other creative types, so producers, directors, showrunners, to imagine that they might be able to as well create the vision that was existing inside their heads. So, and that's spoken about. They said they all kind of opened the door, etc. But I also think it helped with the owners of the studios and the networks to be perhaps a little more open to the idea of an auteur coming in and allowing them to follow their vision and sort of stepping back a little bit and giving them the reins, I guess, to run with their vision. And I think that, I'm not saying it did happen, but I think it helped.
Thank you. Gentleman in the front.
Carl, given the intensity and the scariness and unpredictability of this world, is your family kind of a great lever at the end of the day? And are you ever going to make anything your son can watch?
He didn't watch the Flintstones. Yeah, this will be a while before he watches this one. Yeah, my family is all, that's exactly, every day though, they're at a great level, of course, when you come home. I tend to not bring the work home. It's just, I've never just as well. Yeah, especially with those characters. I was quite happy to, once I took off the wardrobe and the clothes, that they disappeared, and the look and everything. So they went away, they went back into the box, and then I pulled them out the next day. I tend to not carry those things with me that I'm aware of,
You'd be a nervous wreck if you did.
Would be like different. You're welcome.
Ciao Kyle, I'm from Italy. You have a lot of fans in Italy for Twin Peaks, and we are very happy for the coming back of the series. So, just two questions, but please respond like Kyle MacLachlan about Twin Peaks, and not Dale Cooper. So, the first, in front of Sheryl Lee, after several years you met again, the first conversation, the first words between you, in the first meeting for the series, for the shooting of series. And the second question is, your first mind in front of beauty of our actress Monica Bellucci.
I'd actually met Monica before, years before. So Cheryl, I saw Cheryl in the makeup trailer for the first time, after many, many years. And she was sitting and walked in, and we just really had big smiles on each other's faces, because neither of us ever predicted that we'd be back in this world again. And I think for her, you know, her journey is one that's really unusual, and that she's gone, and then she's back, and then she's back as a twin, and now she's back as Cheryl Lee, and back as Laura Palmer. So it was really a pleasure, and we talked and caught up a little bit, and she, you know, she's a country girl, you know, which I didn't really know much before, you know, but we caught up, and it was really wonderful. And Monica Bellucci, I mean, what can you say? She was such a pleasure. She's obviously beautiful, obviously a great actress, but she is so personable and so fun and so easygoing. I didn't expect that for such beauty, I guess. Maybe, you know, you have expectations in your brain, but she was absolutely lovely. Yeah.
Ideal woman for a man.
Absolutely. Apart from my wife.
Yes, I know. Yes, I know. It's sure.
It's true.
Thank you. The lady to the long. Thank you.
Ahoy, Captain. I have actually two questions. The first one is about How I Met Your Mother. A lot of people are saying that the show might come back. Do you think that the character that you had in there might be able to come back? Because it was really funny. And the second one is about Dune. I don't know if you know, but it's going to be remade as a TV series. Do you think that your character that you played in Dune can come back as well?
I don't know. Thank you for the comments about How I Met Your Mother. That was a kind of a departure, but a lot of fun. I'd never done a 4-camera series like that, and it was a challenge. And also, I was able to channel a lot of my early television heroes, not their heroes, but a lot of my early television watching. So I borrowed a little bit from Gilligan's Island, First and Howell, Gilligan's Island. I borrowed a little bit from Jethro Bodine, from Beverly Hillbillies. These are all shows that I was religious back in the day, watched. And so we just sort of channeled a little bit of that into the Captain. And I hadn't heard about it coming back. That was great. Carter Bay.
It's just talks for now.
They're creative geniuses.
I know.
And then the question, I'm sorry, was
about Dune.
Oh yeah, no, very excited. Denis Villeneuve, he's a visionary, a beautiful filmmaker. I'm curious to see how he approaches, you know, transforming that very dense and interesting classic science fiction book of Frank Herbert's into a watchable television. I think he has the right approach. If he does the, I don't know how many hours they're talking about, but it certainly needs time. So very excited to see what they do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gentleman just below.
Hello. The two first seasons of Twin Peaks was a great tribute to the soap opera of the 80s. How David Lynch and Mark Frost explains this change for season 3, and where is Invitation to Love in season 3?
Invitation to Love. I don't know. Somewhere there. And your first question was more about the 80s, about
the change, the tribute to soap opera.
Oh, soap opera, right? Oh,
and
yes.
this change on season 3.
Yeah, you know, the new Twin Peaks, or the recent Twin Peaks, is not obviously a revisit, in some way, a nostalgic trip down, you know, memory lane, and oh, isn't it so nice to go back? They're entirely new stories, entirely new direction, which, as an actor, was very exciting to read, and I think more interesting than anything. While we see the characters again and we hear a little bit about their story, And we also enjoy some of the humor, obviously, that's still there in the relationships. Thinking of the two Horn brothers, you know, those kind of things. It's really about the new direction.
Okay, gentleman here.
Hi, Kyle. I just want to mention, we talked about Monica Bellucci. I just want to give a shout out to your wife. You first met her in a chiropractor's waiting room back in '99.
I did.
And how big a part is she in your career, in your life, in terms of influence?
Very important. Yeah, no, she's first of all, she's very smart. She's very intuitive. She's not necessarily in the business, but she's on the periphery. And she's just she's a great collaborator, great partner. You know, I'll run some things by her, some ideas, some thoughts, and she's got a great intuitive mind and a great forward-thinking person. And I like to think I help as well. We're very good. Give good advice to each other, I think.
And just to follow on from that, Pursued by Bear, I think your 2012 Cat Staff got a really high rating, and your 2011 Sarah got a very high rating. The question is, what gives you great satisfaction? Your reviews for rewinds or for your on-screen roles?
It's very satisfying to get a nice review for the wines. That's a collaborative process, making wine as well. So there's so many people involved in many different elements, but it is a nice diversion away from my regular job, and it also brings me back to my home state and kind of the area that I grew up. So it's very nice. Thank you.
Lady in the front row.
Yes, again.
Hello.
I've asked this question from many channels who are attending this festival, and as I've heard very nice stories, I would like to hear yours as well. And the question is that, can you recall the most horrible audition you've ever had?
Oh, there have been many. Yeah, there have been many. Yeah, there are ones where I knew in the first line of dialogue that I was not where I was supposed to be as an actor in the moment. And I tend to get very nervous in auditions. And then I read something that Tom Hanks wrote, and he said when he was starting out, he treated an audition like it was a very small performance job. So he had a job today. He was going to go to work, and he was going to perform this scene from this movie or television program as his character. And he's like, I'm so excited, I get to go do this work. And he did the audition as if it were a job. Cut, done, moving on to the next thing. And then, if that was it, then he felt like, well, I did a really good performance, it was fantastic, and didn't think about rejection. If they called him back, he said, I have another chance to do another day of work. And so it changed my way of thinking about the audition process. It's like, you know what, it's for them, certainly, but it's also for me. I get a chance to perform this role. Maybe the only time I get to do it, but I get to do it. So it made me, it sort of took away the fear and the wanting to be the person, and said, no, I am the person, I'm going to do my thing, and maybe they have me back, maybe they don't. So it changed me.
Gentleman just along from you. No, just on the front row first. And then
Hi. I was just wondering, how was it to you to do the interviews for the extras of the Blu-ray box, beautiful Blu-ray box of the first season of Twin Peaks? It was a very beautiful interview with David Lynch in a specific place. So first of all, how was it to do that? And then, of course, how was it to be back in the suit, the haircut, on the couch, into the beautiful set of the Black Lodge of season 3?
It was a beautiful. It is a beautiful set.
Oh yeah.
To answer the second quick part. So to go back into the suit was magic, to be honest. And I approached it with a little bit of I don't know. I made it a ritual, maybe. The first time, the guy said, this is a big step. This is an important step. It's been 25 years. You're going to go back in the suit. So I took it really slowly and carefully, and imagined getting myself ready, kind of back into Cooper when I put that suit on the first time. And when I walked on the set for the first time, and there was David sitting in the director's chair, and here I come, and he sees me in the suit for the first time. His face lit up, a huge smile. He stood up, we shook hands, we hugged, and said, and I was like, this always said, here we go. And that started us back on the journey for Twin Peaks, and it was just a beautiful thing. And I'm sorry for asking.
My first question was when you shoot the interviews for the extras.
Oh yes, so that was interesting because, as you said, David doesn't like to talk about his work, so we just kind of reminisced a little bit about the experience and told a few stories. But I like the idea of doing kind of the extras, the behind-the-scenes stuff, because I'm also a fan. So, and I really like these movies, the Three Musketeers, Four Musketeers, the old ones with Michael York and everybody, Richard Chamberlain, and they did kind of a behind-the-scenes storytelling about the things in that movie. And as a fan, I was like, I couldn't get enough. I said, oh, so I should also, people who like the stuff that I do with David, we should also welcome the chance to talk a little bit about behind the scenes, because people love to hear those stories. So that was a trigger for me.
We do.
We've just got time for a couple more questions. There's the gentleman behind you, and then there's a lady in the back there.
When you made the original Twin Peaks, what was the most profound lesson you learned during that time, and another lesson you learned from this season?
They're almost the same. You know, there is nothing like the experience of having David Lynch as the director. And we had a number of different directors in the first run, all very talented, all very skillful. But there is something about David that lifts the material and performance of the actors into another place. Cut to years later, and a long time since David and I have worked together, and we work on that first day, and immediately I'm reminded of the fact that there is no one else like David Lynch. And maybe that's because of the relationship that we have, probably, but also just his ability to draw from the actor their very best. And the unexpected, I think, there are two things that I just absolutely cherish.
Thank you. And last question then from the lady in the back.
Sure.
Hi. Which part of the character do you enjoy the most to play? Is it Dale Cooper or his doppelganger?
They're both fun. The doppelganger is a lot of fun. You know, primarily the idea of playing such a dark character, which I haven't really done much in my career. As dark as Cliff Vandercave was in the Flintstones, I didn't quite get to the character of the evil doppelganger. So that, it was challenging and disturbing to me, because I had to put away any sense of humanness, really. And that was a difficult thing for me to do, but again, in the process of working with David and his guidance and help with that, it really made a difference.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.